Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Draft Therapy Live. We are live with the few people that are in the chat, but you know what? That's all right. First off, what I guess I'm going to lay down some ground rules on what I'm going to do, besides trying to figure out where all my windows are. But what I'm going to do first is just kind of throw out a little bit of information out there. If you want to send in questions while I'm talking about this, I'll come back to them. I have some questions that people sent in. I have a voicemail. I don't know how I'm going to do that right now, but I have a voicemail that we're going to get to. One voicemail, a bunch of text questions that came into the Draft Therapy hotline, which is 224-DRAFT-20. You can still leave questions at 224-DRAFT-20 at the end of this. I'll try and go back and check some of those after we get through the chat questions, the kind of texted questions, all that stuff. So I just wanted to first off say, I really can't express how much I appreciate everybody's support for this channel, everybody watching this channel, everybody from the beginning that's been watching the channel. If you're a new person that just joined just a few weeks ago, somebody that joined 2 years ago when I started, hopefully my mic's coming through okay. I'll watch the chat, and if someone says it's not okay, then we'll figure something else out. I'm on a new mic today, so it might sound a little bit different. But yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody that's been watching. I started this about 2 years ago. I wasn't really sure like how the channel was going to go, how long I was going to be able to do this. I didn't know how I was going to do any of it. This wasn't, I'm not a video guy. I'm not a photo guy. I came in with like no knowledge of doing anything and just kind of researching, and knew I wanted to do some kind of YouTube channel, and beer was something that I'm passionate about, or is something that I'm passionate about. And I was just getting back into it about 2 years ago. So, just starting the channel, I've been really blown away by all the support that everyone's given, all the comments you guys leave on the videos. I read everything, all the emails you've sent into my website, all the comments you've left on all that stuff. I watch all that stuff. Thank you, Ryan, for confirming that the mic is working. Yeah, so just again, huge thanks. Without you guys watching this, maybe I'd still be making these videos, but I'm sure they wouldn't have nearly an impact. Or it's really encouraging for me to see that you guys like the videos, to see that you guys are watching the videos, commenting on the videos, that this means something to you, that I'm not just putting stuff out there that that nobody's really watching or nobody's getting any value out of. So I appreciate all the feedback, positive feedback, negative feedback, all criticism. I take it in, I evaluate it, see what I can do better. Some things have changed drastically because of the feedback I've gotten from you guys. I think the biggest thing, even if you guys don't notice, the thing that I've noticed that I think I've gotten a little bit better at is pouring. Pouring beer has gotten a lot better. Speaking of pouring a beer, I'm going to pour one right now. Yeah, let me grab a beer. I got a little cooler over here. I zipped it up, so that was probably not the smartest move because it's going to take me like 10 times as long to unzip the bag. But yeah, I got a couple things here. Nothing super duper special. This is probably the most special, and this is an Old Nation Electron Brown, but it's a bourbon barrel-aged Electron Brown. It's 9.4%. I got this from Holiday Market. They had it on tap in December. I've been holding on to it since then. And as you guys know, I love brown ales, so I'm going to just use the regular old pint glass, nothing fancy. But I'm going to pour this. I've been doing pours on my Instagram as well, so if you check me out on Instagram, you'll see that I do some pours on there. They're not the best, but they're a lot better than they used to be, so that's saying something. But yeah, I got some negative feedback on some of the pours that I was doing that were probably pretty bad, and admittedly. And yeah, so I started kind of practicing on that a little bit more, and watch, I'll do this like, hey, look at me, I'm a decent pourer. I'm going to spill it all over the place. But yeah, so stuff like that, I read. Even the negative stuff is good because, you don't get any better at something if you think that you're always doing a great job. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody again. I've probably said that a few times. Hopefully you guys are still, enjoying what's going to come ahead. Still being able to say when you go to a store, find something on the shelf and say, hey, I saw this guy. He might not be an expert, but he has the same kind of taste that I have, or I know what kind of taste this guy has. He's like this beer. Maybe I'll try it out and like it too. It's all about promoting beer, promoting these breweries. And what I'd like to do going forward is, you know, being able to get smaller breweries. I know a lot of these places, if I could do just off the shelf stuff, that'd be great. But unfortunately, it seems like I'm kind of almost starting to run out of stuff that's available. There's always new stuff coming out, but I don't want to do, I don't want to have like, you know, do a shorts video and then 2 videos later do another shorts one. Shorts puts out stuff new all the time. So what I'm looking for from you guys that would be really great would be to, if you want to reach out to me, if there's some way that we can maybe trade. I want to start getting more stuff from the smaller places that I don't have access to, that might just be doing their local limited releases, like places like Arvon, places like Supernatural, places like Snowbelt, or maybe Open Road, or more stuff from the UP, or more stuff from Northern Michigan, more stuff from the West Side, more stuff from Central Michigan, more stuff near the Thumb, stuff near the top of the Mitten, Petoskey, you know, that kind of area. So if you guys have any kind of, you know, any kind of distribution chain of your own, let's get that in, get more exposure to those guys. What I might start doing too is starting to maybe expand a little bit outside of Michigan, doing Ohio and Indiana, maybe a little bit of Illinois, doing a little 4-state kind of square or whatever geographic, maybe even Wisconsin, I don't know. But I would like to stick with Michigan as long as possible. I think there's a lot. We have 357 and breweries and counting. So yeah, Lansing, Central Michigan, all that great stuff. So what I'm going to do is, I think I've rambled through everything that I wanted to do. I'm going to take a sip of this beer. We're going to start with these text questions, and then we'll get into your guys' questions. And I had this, I bought 2 of these 16-ounce cans when I could get them. They're a little bit on the pricey side. Holidays, when they're draft stuff, when it's a special kind of stuff. And just to kind of mention, they today had no rules. I want to say 17, 18, and 19 on tap. You could take it home. So that's pretty crazy, because the last 2 years you haven't been able to get it in stores. And I have this beard hair that's like going up in my face. All right, so we'll start with the first questions, and like I said, we'll get back to the chat, and then I'll start paying a little bit more attention to you guys. But so the first question I got, I didn't get a whole lot of questions on the text line. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more on the chat. We can stretch this video out. I got a lot of beer to drink here. So yeah, we'll get into all that. But it kind of started out a little bit slow, and I have to give it up to Northwoods Beer Guy on Instagram. He's on YouTube. I think he uses the same name. I'm not going to use first and last names because I'm not sure if people are kosher with that, but his question, this was like actually one I had to look up and do a little bit of research on. And he says, so there are a number of companies that have high ABV beer. That's a big thing, obviously, nowadays. Avery being a prime example. That's the one he pointed out. He says a majority of these are super sweet. And is that to cover up the alcohol taste, or is it a result of the brewing process to get that higher ABV? And again, I'm not an expert. This is just on my research and kind of stuff that I've found out. Basically, without getting too far into brewing science, because I will totally fall down a rabbit hole and be extremely wrong by the end of the answer. It is part of the brewing process, so you're right in that respect. So high ABV beers start as wort. Beer starts as wort, and it has a lot, you know, to get those high ABVs, it has to have a lot of sugar, it has to have a lot of malts, and the yeast is what produces the alcohol. It converts the sugar into alcohol. It basically eats up that sugar, it farts and poops out alcohol. That's what makes this beer so great. If you're into alcoholic beer, some people are not into alcoholic beer, and maybe we'll talk about that later. Yeah, so the strain is only rated to do basically so much, and when it's done, you know, it starts at the specific gravity, it finishes at the final gravity, and that difference is basically, there's a formula there that you can calculate how much ABV or how high the alcohol content is going to be of that beer. And yeah, so basically the yeast strain has the most to do with how that's going to taste, or how much of that sugar is going to get eaten out. That's what she said. And yeah, so in the case of a lot of breweries use the same kind of strains. They don't go with a whole different, you know, a whole bunch of strains because they're not really familiar with it. Avery might be in the position where they're using similar strains, resulting in sweeter tasting beers at the end. All right. Let's see what's next. I peeked at you guys for just a second. Number 2 question is from Neo York, and he's a commenter on the channel. He's left a lot of encouragement, and I appreciate his comments. He's not even from Michigan. He's from, I believe he's from New York. He says, will we ever get, and this goes back to John Draper's, his comment here about the beard. He says, will we ever get a Draft Therapy beard care video? Probably not. And I was going to, oh man, I totally forgot. So, for me, for the beard, basically I've been growing it out, you know, on and off for several years. I cut it off, I grow it back out, I cut it off because it gets, I just hate it after a while. This has been about 2 years. It'll be 2 years in August that I started. I've trimmed it up a few times. There will probably not be a beard care video because my routine is basically taking a shower, not washing it very often, washing it probably a lot less than I should, and just using regular like shampoo, or when it gets really kind of disgusting, I'll shampoo it. I condition it. I try to over condition that time when I wash it, and then I get out of the shower. I dry it as best as I can with a towel, and then it's just like I don't use any kind of products, like any kind of named products, not like a brand. Like I don't use Beard Brand or Honest Amish, or I've used some of those products in the past. They seem overpriced. So what I do is I go to Trader Joe's, I do the natural thing. I get like argan oil. I use an eyedropper full. I rub it in, put it on my beard, and that's about it. And then I rub the remaining on my arms or sometimes my face in the winter when it's like dry. So I don't think that's going to make a very interesting video. I will probably be trimming this at some point, probably after Beer Fest. That's coming up in July, I think it's 27th and 28th. That sounds about right. It's Friday and Saturday. I figure if I go to Beer Fest with a shorter beard, I'll probably still have a beard, so don't worry about that. But if I go with a shorter beard, I don't think anybody's going to notice me, or not notice me, but nobody's going to notice me. Hey, that's what I'm in here. That's what I'm doing this for. Nobody's going to recognize me, and it's kind of cool when I get to meet you guys in person, and you know, everybody comes, hey man, you're that guy that does a video about the thing. It's like that, yeah, that's me. I'm the guy that does a video about the thing, and that's fine. We don't have to, you know, if you want to go out for a beer afterwards, you want to have a beer at a fest. If you see me at a tap room, maybe that's what I should have said earlier. If you guys see me at a tap room, feel free to come up and talk to me. Generally, I go to tap rooms alone by myself because I like to be able to try out the beer, but I'm not like totally a misanthrope that I don't want to be talked to. So if you notice me or recognize me at a place, feel free to stop me. It's super cool to meet you guys. I've met quite a few people that watch the channel, view the videos, and it's always been awesome. We can sit and, you know, talk about beer in my limited capacity to speak about the subject. Question number 3, Cody, he has 2 questions, and that's kind of pushing it, because it was supposed to just be 1 question, but that's cool. So Cody's first question is, what's your favorite style of beer? So that's a really good question and kind of difficult because it changes over time, right? When I first started drinking beer, craft beer, it was, you know, it was probably more just along the, you know, pale ale, or maybe not even pale ale, probably more of, we'll get into some history. So when the first time I ever drank, it was in college. Lots of great stories start out that way, but this one, we knew this German guy, this exchange student guy that was old enough to buy beer, and he went out and we gave him this list of all the stuff we wanted. And being from this area, if you're from the Detroit area, I'm, you know, not super young, but in the 90s on 89X, all the time you would hear Sam Adams commercials with, his name's totally escaping me. The Sam Adams dude, the Boston beer dude. I'm just going to totally just blank on his name. And if you asked me any other time, I'd be able to tell you. But he was always talking about, oh, Sam Adams beer, Boston lager, blah, blah, blah. We have this new thing coming out. It's Golden Pilsner. So I said to the German guy, I said, hey, man, if you can go and get German Pilsner, or Golden Pilsner, sorry, go out and get that. Get a 6-pack, that'll be perfect. So he gets that, he gets all this other stuff, all this booze and Goldschlager and all this other Aftershock and all those like kind of, I don't know, gimmicky kind of alcohols. And I just remember that I'd finished like Goldschlager, I thought that was great. We like finished the pint or whatever, and I drank like all these Golden Pilsners and just like threw up all over the place. I didn't drink for several years. When I started getting back into it, I liked I was drinking a lot of reds at the time. I was drinking probably more pale stuff or ambers, browns and stuff like that, like the milder beer. I think I read that browns were mild, so that sounded good to me. So then it was like ambers and browns. Then it kind of moved into IPA. I got super into IPAs when IPAs weren't super huge, but they were starting to pick up some steam, like way back when they first started really picking up steam. I can think some of them were like Sierra Nevada. Well, Sierra Nevada is a pale ale, but I can think of like you know, I want to say like Hop Slam is like the apex for me was Hop Slam. I've talked about this on videos a lot, and I had Hop Slam. It was just, at that time, they didn't really advertise it was brewed with honey, but I'm sure it was. And it was just like a pine cone in your mouth. It was like 10%, and I probably drank a few of those at a friend's house, and when I just felt like just total shit when I got home, and it was just not working out. And I think that's when I kind of stopped drinking IPAs for a long time, because everything just tasted like a pine cone. I started getting again back into like browns, and that's when kind of like Stout started taking over for me. So and now I'm kind of New England's I really like. I like you know, I like stouts still. Stouts, I'm kind of almost starting to fade off of those because everything's bourbon barrel aged stuff. It doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of variety in stouts anymore. Of course, there's getting, you know, they have pastry stouts, which are super sweet, high ABVs, dessert style stouts. I love stouts. I love dark beer. Oh, I loved wheat beers for a long time. I'm starting, I think if you would have asked me probably like 6 months ago, I probably would have said like, I love New England style IPAs and stouts. I'm still liking New England's a lot, but they're starting to get kind of samey now too. There's not a whole lot of innovation. There's, you know, obviously milkshake stouts and milkshake IPAs. They're getting really sweet, but you know, it's starting to lose its luster a little bit, but I still like New England style IPAs. So I'm going to say, for right now, New England style IPAs are probably my favorite. I realize I'm doing all this stuff with my hands. So New England styles are probably my favorite right now, but I'm also starting to really enjoy Berliner Weiss, Gozas. I'm starting to kind of dabble into some sours. I didn't like those before. Like when I first tried sours, it just all seemed like they were spoiled beer to me. But now I'm starting to really appreciate it for the taste that it is. You know, your palate just changes over time. You kind of start to want to try out other kinds of beer, other kinds of styles. So I would say probably New England's are my favorite right now, and then I'm starting to get into that sour territory, break some ground there. And then he asks, do you have a favorite brewery, and if so, what is it? So this was another one I had to kind of think of. I didn't write anything down. So I started looking at you guys again, so I got diverted. But my favorite brewery right now, I have two. I'm going to say I have two, and they're going to be categorized. I have one that I really love going to, and I love trying everything that they have. And I think almost everything, not everything, but most of the stuff that I have there is fantastic, and they're just really innovative. And that's a local brewery to me, and that one is. And I'm going to let people guess. I'm going to give it a second. I'm going to try this beer, but I'll tell you the one that's not local that I really enjoy, and I'll take a drink. And I'll give you an impression, Kelly, of the BA Electron. It loses a lot of the brown kind of characteristics, and it picks up. This is 6 months old at this point, so it's lost a lot of that brown kind of characteristic. There's a little bit of a espresso still in there on the tail, but a lot of it is really bourbon at this point. It's very bourbon forward, very strong bourbon taste up front, and then you're getting a little bit of that espresso on the back end. I like it. Even when I had it when it was relatively fresh, I want to say it was like February, I think I'd still like regular Electron Brown better than the bourbon barrel aged. I can see why they didn't make this mass distribution. Besides, I don't think that Old Nation's done any or not very much bourbon barrel aged stuff. So my favorite, just Michigan brewery, I think just all around, I think that they do a lot of really great stuff, is I think that, gonna go out on a limb, I think Oddside is probably my favorite Michigan brewery for just like a general, easy to find, go to any store and be able to pick up an Oddside beer. They do so many different styles. they have so much variety in their portfolio. They have, you know, they have the IPAs. They have like, you know, El Dancarino, if you want that like West Coast style IPA. They have the Dank Juice style if you want the New England style or the East Coast style IPA, whatever you want to call it. They have you know, Hipster Brunch. They have Hazel's Nuts. They have, you know, just the implication. They have all Nightman Leaveth. They have all these stouts that are really great. They have all these IPAs that are really great. They do pretty decent, you know, a pretty decent brown when they do that. They have a good lager, you know. Beer Me is more of that Coors Light kind of taste, but if that's what you're looking for, they got it. They got it in Beer Me. They just do so many styles really well, and so I let you guys guess. And the local brewery that I have to go to, that I go to quite a bit, is Tyler guessed it, and Sydney Martorella guessed it. Well, Sydney said 2, but I'm going to give it to Ascension and Novi. They are right now they're my favorite brewery. They have really good food. They have good bar food. I like when I go in there. Their tap list is always different. They always have, like, you know, I think today they did a can release. I didn't make it, but I want to say they had like 10 or 12 different beers on tap. Some of them are mainstays, or they're kind of like their flagships, but they change them all the time. They always have new stuff. They're always pushing the envelope, going a little bit outside of maybe like a comfort zone, and they always have like some weird spin on some style. The other one that was really mentioned a few times on here was from the chat was Holmes. I really like Holmes a lot too. I think that I would really like to see Holmes can their King Cold Brew. That would be like a dream come true. And I've been saying it since the first video that I did about Holmes, which was like a year and a half ago. I think it was, they opened in April. I want to say like November they did their first can release. I think from my same, same different video, I've been saying like King Cold Brew, you got to can this. I like that they do, you know, obviously they do IPAs, are phenomenal. Their sours are really good. If you watched the live stream last week, I tried Foul Pole, which was a sour IPA, which I think could compete or stand up against and possibly be better than any of the sherbets that they've done so far. I just would like to see them kind of going a little bit more of outside of their comfort zone, maybe do some more stouts, maybe do some more darker beers. And I know they do the sours, they do the bottle, those big, like weird shaped bottles, they do those really great. So yeah, I mean, they do sours just awesome, kettle sours, feeder sours, like all the, you know, huge oak barrel feeders and kind of beers that they have. So that's Cody's questions. I'm on to number 4, and we're only, what are we? We're 24 minutes in, so I'm very talkative tonight. Number 4, Cam. Cam asks, have you ever been involved in homebrewing or plan on doing so? If so, what's the best way to get started? And Cam has 2 questions too. Again, you guys are really pushing with 2 questions. But yeah, I have homebrewed. It's been years and years ago. I have a daughter who just turned 9 yesterday, and I think the last time I brewed on my own was the day, I think I finished like the night before she was delivered. So that's like the last time, it was like 9 years ago. And so that's kind of gives you a little bit of a base knowledge. And I'm, if you can't tell by the videos, I'm like a really big researcher. I love to kind of look stuff up and find stuff out and try and figure out how stuff works. I'm not mechanically inclined at all. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I would say that I've actually been really interested lately, within the last year, of getting back into it, but not doing big 5-gallon batches, doing more like 1-gallon batches where you can, because I buy so much beer at this point because of the channel that I don't think, and I never had, I was never good at drinking all my beer. I think I have a bottle of beer in my refrigerator upstairs. Maybe that's what I should do. I think I have a bottle of beer in my refrigerator upstairs from the first time I ever brewed, which is like probably 10 years ago when I got a kit for Christmas, and it is a brown. I think I have a bottle left, and I think it's still in the fridge, and it probably tastes just like ass. But yeah, so that's my experience with it. I know a lot of people that watch the channel, a lot of people that are into beer on YouTube, and just, you know, all the communities I check out are huge into homebrewing. It's funny because if I were to start a homebrewing channel, I'd probably have a lot of subscribers just doing that, because it seems like those are really popular. Obviously, homebrewing's like a really big hobby right now. Probably more so than drinking beer on camera, but you know, hey, we all have our hobbies, right? So he says, what's the best way to get started? Honestly, the best way to get started is to, if you go to a brewery, you know, ask around, that's what's great about craft beer, is all these guys that do this beer are so accessible. They want you to know more about the beer that they're doing. It's very rare, I think, at least in my experience, you know, being some unknown dude off the street. Brewers are, and people in breweries, like at the bar or at tables or whatever, are so open to telling you or helping you or just being really generous with their time. I think the best way to get started, outside of just kind of like asking somebody there, if you're just asking some random internet guy, I would say just buy like a kit, you know, see what you're interested in. I started with extract. I've only really ever done extract. I never did all grain or anything, but I think that's a really great way to start. I'm sure there are a lot of people in the chat that are listening to me babble on about this, and they probably have some really great ideas too. Again, if you're not thinking that you're going to be able to finish, you know, a full, you're brewing 5 gallons at a time. That's like 2 cases. If you don't think that you have friends that you can pawn that off onto, or if you don't think that you know, that you're going to go through that your friends and family, or you're going to get bored and you want to move on to the next beer and maybe do another one, I would say maybe seek out on how you can do 1 gallon, maybe start doing all grain 1 gallon. I don't know, because it's probably going to be pretty tough to do extract brewing with 1 gallon. Just because the kits are more 5 gallon. I think more places now online, though, are doing 1. Or look up in your, online and see who locally, if there's a local homebrew shop near you. Go there and say, hey, I'm really interested in getting into it. What kind of equipment do you think I need? I think, like, from my experience, you really only need a few things. You need a kettle, you need a carboy or some kind of fermenter, or a bucket. You need, you know, bottles if you're going to do that. But you can wait several weeks, because the beer takes it'll take you a while to ferment it out. You need a lid, obviously, for your fermenter. If your carboy, you're going to need like a bung or like a stopper and airlock, so that air doesn't get into your beer. You're gonna need like a paddle. You're probably gonna need like a mesh bag or something. But you can find that information out. Again, look up in your locally if you have a place that, you know, that you can find, that a local homebrew shop, and support those guys too. Not only support your local breweries, but support your local homebrew shops, because those guys are going out of business too. Just to kind of go off on a little bit of a tangent, and I see Bearded Hops is in the channel now, and I'm not sure which one of the guys is leaving the comments, but I did a podcast with them. We talked about, you can check them out on YouTube at Bearded Hops. And we talked about the kind of distribution. It's the same thing with homebrewer, with, you know, these homebrewer shops. Maybe not so much the local shops, but the online retailers like Austin, geez, I can't even think of all the stores again. I can't, the Sam Adams guy I can't think of, and I can't think of the shops. But a lot of these places are getting bought out by AB InBev as well, because Northern Brewer, that's what it was. You know, some of those places are getting bought out too, and it kind of tightens the supply chain on the smaller guy. It's you know, it's not only a strategy of maybe choking out some competition or future competition, but it's obviously also like supplies. It's making the hobby maybe you know, you might see prices bump up over time, not to mention like the political environment that we're in today. So, but check out local homebrew shops. It's really important that they stay in business, because those are the places that are going to be feeding new breweries, new brewers, new cellarmen, you know, all these different professions that help feed this hobby that we absolutely love and need, and it creates a lot of jobs. Number 5, John, he asks, underrated beer that can be easily found. This was one, I had to write this one down too. This isn't off the cuff. I had to think, like, what is a beer that's really somewhat widely available? It's going to be specific to me, because I'm, you know, where I'm located, there's several bottle shops that I can get this beer in. It's one of the beers that I kind of mentioned as being one of my previous favorites. I think the most underrated Michigan beer that can be easily found, again, it's going to really be It's going to be reliant on where you are. My personal underrated favorite beer, and I did a review of them like way back when, is Frankenmuth Brewing's The Hef. It is a Hefeweizen. It has the dog on the bottle. It is probably the best Hefeweizen I have had in a long time. And I had a viewer a while ago, when I posted that video, they said, hey, you should check out this one from Arbor Brewing Company, Bliss Wheat. It's won all these awards, and I tried it, and it didn't hold a candle to the Hef from Frankenmuth, and it's been a favorite. It will continue to be a favorite. It's one that I don't drink enough. It's one that gets no love. It's a category or a style that gets like next to no love. It is like, I don't know. It's like, in my book, it probably gets less love than I can actually guarantee that it gets less love than a cream ale gets from most breweries. Most breweries will brew a cream ale, which is just a hybrid style. You can use whatever kind of yeast you want. You can use whatever, you know, you can use a lager yeast or an ale yeast, use whatever you want. And that's a cream ale, right? They all taste kind of the same, unless King Cold Brew being the exception, in my opinion. Most cream ales are not worth it. The Hef from Frankenmuth Brewing is absolutely worth it. All right, and I am on my last text question, and it is from an unknown texter. I didn't text them back. I was texting everybody back just to let them know that I got their thing. I didn't text this person back because they texted me like earlier today, and I didn't get a chance to get back to them. Hopefully they're watching the live stream. They ask, what's the first craft beer you had that got you started with the hobby? And this is one I have to think about too. I mean, you know, I just told the story about, you know, Sam Adams, the Golden Pilsner. You know, I don't think we could say that that's the one that really got me into it, but yeah, that's a hard one, because there's just been so many beers since then. I can tell you the brewery that got me back into it. This isn't the brewery that got me back into it. I think Bell's, just in general, trying stuff from Bell's really kind of got me back into craft beer. That's not the local brewery. There's a local brewery that did it. I live like between Ann Arbor and Detroit, and in Plymouth, Michigan, there's a brewery. It's called Liberty Street Brewing. They're in a space in this old part of Plymouth, Michigan. Plymouth has this like really small downtown, and they have a really, really small area called Old Town, and Liberty Street in Old Town, Plymouth, was like, my friend Dave and I, he's probably been like commenting, and he'll probably comment after I say this. We used to go there every Friday after work, and then occasionally, like after that, we did like work with them. We did their website. We did all this stuff with them, and that's really like, we struck this deal. If we could do their website, we could drink for free for a year, and we totally took advantage of that, and they took advantage of our services as well. But and that was right before my daughter was born. My first daughter was born, so it was really like a hectic time getting back into it, going there every Friday, talking with the owner, talking with the brewer, a couple of the owners, talking with the head brewer Joe, and just kind of talking about all this different stuff. Really ignited the passion about craft beer for me. At one point, I was about 100 pounds heavier than I am now. I lost a bunch of weight, and that's really why I kind of stopped drinking craft beer. And I think Liberty was before I lost all that weight. But coming back, you know, that is probably what really sparked that craft beer could be more than just, you know, it could be more than just a lager. It could be more than just Budweiser. It could be more than just a macro beer. Like, craft beer is a thing on its own. I mean, I obviously drank the Shock Tops. I drank the Blue Moons. You know, and that Liberty Street period for me was like, you know, going there, drinking a bunch of beer, going to my friend Dave's house, us getting together, drinking a bunch of beer, different kinds of beer, each buying a 6-pack and being really stupid and finishing like multiple 6-packs in a night, you know, just trying all this different beer, hanging out. That's like, I think of that time as being a really golden time for me in like my beer drinking journey. And then I'll play the voicemail that I got later. So now I'm going to jump over to the text chat. I am going to have a lot to go and peel through. If you have questions, I'm going to go through them. I'm going to try and get to everybody. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Cam is on the channel. I just answered his question. Cam, look at the timestamp on how far I am, about 36 minutes in. Probably go back about 10 or 15 minutes, and I will have answered your question. All right, so we're going to go up to the top, and I'm seeing everybody's congratulations on the 1,000. Again, thanks a lot. You guys are the reason that I'm at, obviously, that I'm at 1,000. Took about 2 years. Honestly, I didn't think I'd ever get to 1,000. So for everybody saying, you know, congrats on 1,000, I appreciate it. You guys are the ones that you're the ones that are making the channel. I'm here doing the video, I'm editing it, I'm putting it online, but you guys are what stoked the fire to keep it going. All right, let's see. So I talked earlier about Holiday Market in Royal Oak, and I failed to mention I'm going to answer a couple questions or a couple comments that were left in chat. Holiday Market, there's 2 locations. I don't know if they're affiliated. One's in Canton, Michigan. One is in Royal Oak. The one in Royal Oak gets a lot of just crazy beer. If you watch the live stream from last week, I talked about the Holmes release and the Equilibrium release. Some of the Equilibrium out of Middletown, New York. Holiday Market in Royal Oak is the place in Michigan besides Blue Front and Ann Arbor that got Equilibrium as far as I know. So yeah, if you ever get there, that's the place to be. They get crazy beer. You can get a lot of singles there. I like them because I like to pick up singles, because I've spent so much money buying 6-packs and stuff and just using 1 or 2 for the channel that it just doesn't make sense for me to buy 6-packs anymore unless it's like really limited. Or I have to get, I have to buy a 6-pack to be able to get it in priority. And I think I already said, Greg, yeah, with the Holiday Market, they had 17, 18, 19, no rules, you get it in cans. All right. DPAR28 says, what are your top 3 breweries in Michigan? So I think that that is going to be like, that's like 2... There's 2 variations, right? There's a local place that you can only get beer from the tap room. They don't distribute, or if they do release cans, it's only in the tap room. And then there's the like statewide distribution. I think, again, for Michigan only, I'm sorry, just the local distribution or tap room distribution model, I think it's going to be Ascension and Novi. It's going to be Holmes and Ann Arbor. Those are 2 like super like no-brainers for me. Number 3, wow. The place that I like to visit the most, that's going to be the other one for me. I'm going to say it's probably, man, I'm not going to be, and nobody's going to be like feeling bad, because you guys are probably the only ones that are, these breweries are never going to hear that I'm talking about them, but I want to say tap room only, really. I'm going to have to skip on number 3 for right now. Because what I was gonna say is Roke, but Roke is available in the stores. I think their taproom stuff's really awesome because they're another one. Holmes and Ascension both are one of those ones where you go in, they almost have like a totally new board. They have a few flagships, but then they change like all this other stuff, and that's what's awesome. You can go in there repeatedly. They have so many taps available. They have so much room available. They're gonna have all this new stuff. It's gonna be cascading, and they're just gonna have changes all the time. So I was going to say Roke, but they do so much stuff in stores, at least around Southeast Michigan, that I was going to say, oh, I really love Old Nation, but Old Nation is like all over the place, right? I really love Ellison, but Ellison's all over the place. Man. Yeah, that third like tap room only thing, I'm going to have to pass for right now. I'm trying to think of if there's another. Oh, Witch's Hat. I'm going to say, no, they do in-store releases too. So I've named a few. I like all those guys. I would say for like statewide distribution, I think Oddside's number 1 for me. I think that Bell's is probably next, and then I'm gonna say Old Nation. It's hard for me not to say Founders, but I honestly really only drink the barrel age series stuff from Founders. It's really kind of rare that I get anything else from Founders. Not that I think that it's bad. And then there's the debate if they're really craft beer because of the percent of ownership that's not, independent. It is what it is. I'm sure I'm dropping somebody off, but yeah. So that's going to be my 3 from, that's going to be my 3 that are taproom distribution only, and then 3 that are store distribution, not only, but I mean, I do enough Old Nation stuff on this channel to really say like, oh, I love Old Nation. You can find Old Nation stuff, it seems, seemingly anywhere. I went to a bottle shop today that they changed management, and they had stuff, they had like the dry honey saison. All right, so let's get back to chat here. Kelly Davis says 450 North, I need my life. I do need 450 North in my life. You're telling me. Greg Schmidt, I'm getting back to the beard stuff. He says, and I talked about my beard care thing, and we went over that. Shave it off and start over. If I shave it off, it's going to be like, yeah, I don't know if I can do it again. This is like, I'm like, when I sleep, you know, you put your arm over something and or your shoulder, you know, I roll on it now. So this part, all this part right here can be cut off, because it's all just that straggly stuff that's no thickness, no girth to it, no weight. All right. We got Eclipse Brewing chimed in. All right. And Greg has corrected me. Well, he's supplemented my speech about the beer fest, which is probably after that's when I'm going to trim, July 26th and 27th. And hopefully I'll see you again. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. If you see me, definitely give me a wave, you know, whatever. Give me a fist bump. Say, hey, nice channel. Hey, that's that asshole that does the thing with the beer. Okay. So Tyler and Rob on the internet basically are singing the praises of Devil Dancer. I went over BA Electron Brown. I've got more beer in here. I have to get to it. There's still some in here, but I gotta move on to the next thing, because we gotta pay some respects to these guys. I don't have a whole lot of stuff in here, but we gotta pay some respects to the other breweries that are in here. I'm going over the chat. I'm still way behind. I am just to the point where I was talking about favorites in the state, and we're talking about Odd Side's my favorite in the state. All right. Spicy food at homes. The food at homes is really good. All right, let's see. Would you, all right, Sydney Martella asks, would you ever consider opening your own tap room? Going back to that whole time when I drank a bunch of beer with my buddy Dave, that's something that we had kind of wanted to do. Opening a tap room. Sorry if you can hear like way more of that ice than you probably should have, or the gurgling of that bottle. Yeah, that's something that we really wanted to do at the time. Basically start a brewery or a tap room, or like maybe like a Hopcat. I think at the time, you know, this is like 12, 15 years ago, there wasn't anything like Hopcat. And my brother-in-law lives in near Grand Rapids, and he was like, hey man, there's this place, you should check it out. It's Hopcat in Grand Rapids, and they have 100 taps. And I'm like, 100 taps? Shit. That was like unthinkable before I had heard about it. Before I had heard someone already thought about it, it was unthinkable. A tap room probably won't happen, but it would be awesome to have like a beer bar. One that does really well. We have one in Novi. It's called Beerhead, and it was all right, but and they have a lot of beer, and they have like hundreds of bottles, which I don't know how they can churn through hundreds of bottles and still, you know, turn a profit, or have, you're not, you know, ensure that a customer's not going to have a skunked beer or some like, you know, 10-month-old IPA or something. And that's another thing, like bottle shops that sell singles, I love them to death. I think they're awesome. I couldn't live without bottle shops that sell singles. More places need to do it, but I think it's really difficult. I went to a bottle shop today that had just changed management, and they had all these singles. You could take anything you wanted out of whatever, you know, cooler, or out of a pack. You could open a box and take stuff out. That's awesome, but I don't know how the turnover is on that. Like, I saw several cans. I saw cans in the cooler that were like collapsed. I saw cans on the shelves that were like, they were blown out, like the tops were blown off. Not blown off, but they were like super hard and just expanded. And the can was like, I'm not buying that beer. If I take that home, that's gonna be like, it's gonna blow up in my face, or the top of the can's gonna just totally pop off. So But what I would like to do is possibly do a craft beer store. I would still consider doing a tap room if you have food. I'm not interested in food, but I would love to do a craft beer store. I've thought a lot about not taking any action on it, but I've thought a lot about opening like a craft beer store and using the channel as like, you know, hey, this is a new stuff in stock. I could put a new video out every day and just talk about all these new beers, and that would be. Or hey, 8 Degrees Plato. If anybody from 8 Degrees Plato is watching and you want somebody to make videos about your beer, we can convert Draft Therapy into 8 Degrees Plato, you know. Pay me and we'll talk about it, and we can do daily videos, and that I can just drink beer for a living. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I don't think a tap room's gonna happen. The funding isn't really there, and I would love to do a craft beer store. I'd love to have a space where I could go in and tell you guys about the new stuff that's coming in and have access directly to it. That would be perfect. Again, if you're watching this video, this is time-stamped as of about 10:46 on Saturday, June 8th of 2019. This is my trademarked idea. All right, let's see. We're going to go through the comments here. Going back to the home brewing. Bearded Hops, he says, congrats on the 1K. It was definitely the podcast that put me over the top. Absolutely, 1000%. Greg says, didn't Sam Adams and Dogfish merge? You guys already covered that. They did. Let's see. All right. Ryan's message got held for review. I'm going to show it. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it. It's my review. And don't click on it now. We're doing this live stream, man. We got all these questions to answer. Don't click on it now, but click on it like you're going to watch us again. I know you are, because the entertainment value alone is just going to, you can see me like reaching back and forth across like an iPad and a computer, you know, all this. It's going to be so awesome. You're going to want to relive it. Click on the chat and click on the link to the Hef review. I looked much younger. I had a much shorter beard. Well, oh, crud. I totally just, yeah, we're going to show that. Okay, never mind. I just hid the comment. I totally can't do that. Ryan, if you want to post that Hef review video link again, I will do it. Tyler says Looking Glass is his favorite Hef. Frankenmuth getting 0 love. He agrees. Yep. Looking Glass, that's another place that I really want to view. Oh my God, Cameron. Okay, when you get to 1,000 views on YouTube, you can do, or I'm sorry, 1,000 views, 1,000 subs on YouTube, you can do a few things that are really cool. You can monetize, that's cool. You can make a little bit of cash, you know, hey, you can make some green, some whatever they call this on the street when people do this. You can do this on YouTube. The other thing you can do is you can send community messages to your community, which I need to evaluate and use a little bit more. And then maybe we can use this live chat as that. Tell me if you would like to see more kind of messages on YouTube, because I'm really scattered right now. I'm on Instagram. That's where I put a majority of the non-YouTube content. Like 90% of the non-YouTube content goes on Instagram. That's where I'm doing these daily pour videos where I pour a beer and it's like pour porn. There's like all these close-ups. You can see the head. You can see all these bubbles. It's extravagant and just fabulous, and it's just, you know, off-the-wall insanity. The other thing, and so let me know if you want to see more messages about the channel from there. What else? The other thing you can do is when you do these live streams, you do a super chat. And what a super chat is that when you come on here, and I don't expect anybody to do it, but if you do it, that's 100,000,000,000% awesome, and I will be forever indebted to you. But you're indebted to me, because what a super chat is you're sending the person that you're watching some dollars, and that's awesome. All this stuff is obviously I'm doing it. I'm not getting a lot of free beer, unfortunately. I'm paying for most of the stuff, so it's really cool when people send, you know, when they buy merch, which if you don't like the merch, you know, that it is what it is. And by the way, all the questions that you guys are asking, I'm gonna pick somebody random from the text messages and the emails that I got, the voicemails and all that stuff, and anybody asking a question on here or chatting on the live stream, I'm going to send you some cool stuff. I have Draft Therapy stickers. I have a Draft Therapy magnet that looks exactly like this. I'll reach out to you after the video somehow. I'll probably reply to your I'll figure a way out. We'll figure this out on how to get back to you. I'll give you a magnet. I'll give you a sticker. I will give you a link to merchandise.
any of the Draft Therapy merch, which I am not currently wearing, as you can tell, but I'll give it to you at cost. If that's something that you're interested in, you can get it at cost. I won't make any money off of it. No monetary gain from me, but it's cool. It kind of adds to the exposure. So super chat. All right, so I think I got Ryan's thing back in here that I hid before on accident. All right, so now back to the chat. Again, Cam, thank you very much for sending super chat. I totally appreciate it. What's my opinion on Coonan from Dpar28? Dpar is asking, I'm not even that far into this. Dpar is asking the important questions. He asks about the breweries, and he's asking about Coonan. I don't know much about Coonan. I know Drippa. I had Blueberry Drippa. I love both of those. I heard, and this could be all just conjecture, that at some point they had to change like ingredients because they were kind of doing the whole, in Michigan, the whole New England or at least East Coast IPA style before almost everybody else. It's time to go into the bag. They were doing that style before most people were. And because of that, the ingredient list got more expensive. So they kind of had to change stuff. So it changed their beer a little bit. I've never been to the tap room. That's like a place that I really want to visit. So as far as I know, my experience with them has been great. I've only been able to try a couple of their beers, and I've really liked them. I haven't tried any of the barrel aged stuff or stuff they sell in the bottles, but I talked to one of the brothers, the Coonan brothers, I don't remember which one it was, at the Beer Fest, October Beer Fest, the fall one that happens in Detroit. I did an interview with him. I didn't get to publish it because the sound was so just atrocious. It was so loud you couldn't hear either of us. And that, again, I have this mic on. If you notice this thing hanging on me, it's this like furry windscreen for my microphone, and hopefully, okay, I didn't turn it off. I'm kind of investing a little bit more better audio gear, stuff I can clip onto people or stuff where the microphone's a little bit closer. So when I go to festivals, I'm going to be recording and I can get better audio. We can bring more interviews with these brewers, breweries, and stuff like that. If you have questions that you'd like to ask brewers or breweries and questions like that, that's perfect for what the Draft Therapy hotline is for, 224-DRAFT-20. Send me a question for any kind of breweries, or if you have any kind of questions about breweries in general. When I go to these festivals a couple times a year, or if I go to the tap room and I can get an interview with these guys, I would love to ask them your questions, because I'm bad at thinking of questions to ask people until after the fact. It's like when somebody shoots you a put down and you're like, you just kind of take it, and then you get home and a day later, or like 4 hours later, you're like, well, I should... your mom, or whatever kind of stupid, I'm that guy, so I'm really bad about questions. Cam's back with the City Built sticker, which should be right here. This laptop is just covered in stickers. This is my sticker. Hopefully I'm not going to unplug my camera. Here's that Draft Therapy sticker. Here's another one right there. So yeah, all types of stickers and cool stuff. All right. So, moving on. Oh, Tyler asked the unknown question. Real nice, man. Couldn't put your name in there? Bearded Hops. Again, Bearded Hops, he says, congrats on the 1,000. They hope they can get to 100. Bearded Hops does... I'm going to be perfectly honest. I was a little skeptical at first when I started listening, because I got these 3 guys and they're talking about beer, and it's like, I like beer, but I don't like to hear other people talk about beer on a podcast. But I actually started listening because they invited me to be on the show. I started listening. I've listened to every show since, and I really enjoy the conversation because they kind of get into these themes, and they talk to YouTubers, they talk to brewers, they talk to people from the Craft Beer Association in Colorado. Are they in Boulder? Oh man, I can't believe I don't know that. But yeah, so they ask the questions. They ask really cool questions on their podcast. And they get a lot of really cool, they got Massive beer reviews, Matt from Massive. They got Kyle from No Hype on a couple shows. And I really enjoyed listening to those guys. And I want to say it's beer by the numbers, but I really love hearing from other YouTube people because I don't really watch other YouTubers very often. I don't want to, that the influencers to influence my my mind here. I need to clean this out, so I'm going to do this on the side. But yeah, they do a great podcast. If you're into beer, they're out of Wisconsin and I think Illinois. I think they're like one of them. I think Chad's like in Wisconsin, and then Jake and Adam are both. I think they're on the Illinois border. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. All right. And then breweries. Dave jumps in and he says, Mitten Brewing. I can't, there's just too many places to say. I really like a lot of places, so I can't really give you a whole lot of great. All right, so then I got 20-something syndrome saying, check your texts again. I will be checking them very shortly. I'm going to be playing this voicemail because it ties into this next thing that I'm going to try. Greg says he probably won't be at Summerfest, but next Homes release, if he sees me in line, he'll say hello. That'd be awesome. Bottle shop, craft beer bar. Craft beer places, yeah, the margins are very slim. And that's why so many of these tap rooms or breweries are selling directly out of the tap room. All right, stickers. Oh, the jerk store called and they're all out of you. Classic comeback. Classic comeback. What else is in the cooler? We got to get... Yes, Bearded Hops. I need a sticker. I need you guys to send me a sticker. All right, so John Mag says, I moved to Michigan 11 years ago. Has Hop Slam taste changed? I don't think that... Jake's near Milwaukee. I'm sorry, guys. All right, so Jake's near Milwaukee. Hop Slam has changed, actually, year over year. It's gone from being really, really, really bitter to being a little bit less bitter, a little bit more malty, a little bit sweeter, a little bit... It changes. Like, every year it changes. So, I'm going to hold this. This is my voicemail. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to check other voicemail, but I'm going to hold this close to the microphone. I'm going to watch my levels here, and I'm going to see how this is going to work out. So this is a voicemail that I received earlier. And just for context, I'm sure he won't mind that I'm naming him. Tyler is Review the Brew in this. Bearded Hops, I can't keep up with you. So this is a voicemail that I received. Let's see if you can hear this.
Hi, Sean. It's Gabriella, Tyler's girlfriend, and I was wondering what your favorite cider is. Congrats.
Oh, congrats. Thanks. Thanks, Gabriella. Okay, so the question, in case you didn't hear it, was, what is my favorite cider? And this is a question I get asked a lot, actually, what my favorite cider is, because I'm a known cider drinker. And I would have to tell you that my favorite cider is Woodchuck Hard Cider Bubbly Rosé. Bubbly Rosé is just the perfect cider for you cider drinkers out there because the taste is very reminiscent. I don't know what it's reminiscent of. To be perfectly honest, Gabriella, I gotta apologize to you. I don't drink cider. I drink cider like at the cider mill with the donut, and I'm not trying to be condescending. I really apologize if it comes off that way. And I just had this because I bought this in Florida, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. This will be a good one. I don't drink cider, so this is gonna be my favorite cider. I've seen like Ace makes these pineapple ciders, which look really good, but I just haven't had one. I don't know why. I guess I'm a beer snob. It is what it is. I'm going to try this. I'm going to drink this. I'm going to tell you what I think. And I'm going to tell you what else is in the cooler. It's just two more things. (6.1%) Bubbly Rosé, Bubbly Blush Cider. I have no idea what a rosé tastes like. I know rosé is very popular. I can tell you that this cider is very sweet. It's got a lot of sweetness to it. It's got a little bit of a bitterness to it. It's got a little bit of a bite, actually. If I was a cider drinker, this actually isn't that bad. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But right now, Gabriella, this is my favorite cider. This Woodchuck Rosé. I know that Starcut is out there and they're a short deal, and I know that Blake's is out there and they do hard cider. It's just not something I'm really interested in. It's gonna make me burp. Do you guys want to see more ciders? Like, do you want to see ciders from around this area, from around the Michigan area? Again, maybe Ohio, maybe Indiana, maybe Illinois, maybe Wisconsin. Excuse me. It's just hard for me to get some of this stuff that's really why this channel is Michigan centric, is because I can get stuff in Michigan. If you haven't been watching from the beginning, I'm about an hour in, so I don't blame you. But what I was saying earlier is that, thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate all the feedback, negative, positive criticism, everything. I would like to be able to do more Michigan beer, more stuff that's not readily available to me. I'd like to be able to do stuff in the UP, in the East and Western UP, up near the top of the hand. For you, it's going to be, I can't even see my video, so I'm going to guess it's like right around here. I'm trying to do the hand thing the right way. The thumb area, Central Michigan, Western Michigan, Lower Western Michigan, Southeastern Michigan, South Central Michigan, all that stuff. So if you have a leg up, or if you know somebody that's a brewer or somebody that works at a brewery and you want, you can talk to them if they want to be on the channel, have them send beer to me. I'm willing to trade beer. I have all that stuff. I'd prefer not to trade, but if that's what needs to be done, then we'll do that. So, Rosé, Woodchuck cider. That's that. Sydney Martorella asks, and I hope, Sydney, hopefully I'm not butchering your name there. What do I do for work outside of YouTube? I'm a business analyst. I work in the most exquisite and complicated Excel spreadsheets you will ever lay your eyes upon. Believe me, if you need somebody to do Excel work, look for somebody else, because I'm already getting paid to do Excel work. But that's what I do. I look at Excel spreadsheets. I write very limited SQL code and Oracle and all that fun stuff. An analytical profession. So I'm not going to drink any more of that rosé. No offense to anybody that likes rosé or likes cider. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to break out this. I have a really big crowler from out of the state, and if I need to break it out, I will. So this is going into my outside of Michigan thing. This is from Monroe, Ohio. You have probably seen this on the shelf. This is Nowhere in Particular, which is a gypsy brewer. They brew basically where they can, or where he can. I think it's like a one-man operation. This is Nowhere in Particular batch number 30. It is a Mimosa IPA. It is a Brut-inspired ale brewed with orange, and I'll read the label real quick while you guys kind of populate with some more questions. The beer you're holding is a beer that will never be made again, and that's what Nowhere in Particular does. It's just like one-offs. They do these batch numbers, and they just do it one time, and that is it. And they do all different types of crazy stuff. They've done IPAs, they've done lagers, they've done, just these really weird gozas, and just this crazy off-the-wall stuff. It is the only one of its kind and represents an ever-changing lineage meant to abolish monotony and clear the way for audacity. Stimulated? Well, then visit nipbrewco.com for intimate details about the can in your hand. So this is what it looks like. It's yellow. It has this guy with a bindle on his back. He's like a gypsy dude. And I'm going to use an IPA glass because that's what I have here. And it's got a little bit of some water spots. Hopefully it's not going to make too many, not going to join the dirty glass club. I bought this today at the bottle shop. I go into bottle shops, I feel really guilty if I walk in there and I look around for 40 minutes and they're like, what is this guy? What the hell is wrong with this guy? And then I don't buy anything, I just walk out. So this was one that looked really kind of interesting. I've never had anything from Nowhere in Particular. There's no date on here. I think this is a newer one. So it sounded interesting. I mean, that's like, if you're thinking it's like a Brut inspired, Bruts don't look like this. Bruts generally are very thin, very light, very clear. And that's what's enticing about them, is they're usually lower sugar. That kind of goes back to the question that Northwoods Beer Guy asked earlier. And that is about, high ABV and how do they make them so they're sweet. And that's like, I don't know what my point was on that. Kind of rambling. But yeah, so, their Bruts have less sugar. the enzymes that they use with the yeast is what kind of makes it eats all that sugar up, makes it really dry beer. All right. DJ Plender is here. He says party is here. It absolutely is. Rob on the internet, he had woodchuck once and he didn't enjoy how he felt. And that's kind of what I think about ciders too. Woodchuck maybe more so. I have a friend that he can't drink beer. It's like, he thinks he's allergic to barley. That's his thing. We've had beer since and now he's okay. He doesn't have the stomach issues afterwards. But that's kind of like part of the game, right? I mean, you got to drink some beer and then you kind of got to do the thing afterwards, and that's just how it works. And hey, you know, I mean, you're having fun while you do it. You always got to pay the piper later. You know, this stuff, nothing is without consequences, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So this is a mimosa. It's called Mimosa IPA. Let's put a nose on it. Wow, this smells actually like the most grapefruity beer I think I've ever smelled. It's got a lot of really fresh OJ kind of scent to it, but it has that kind of bitter grapefruit smell as well. Wow, that looks really good. So hopefully, guys in the chat, tell me what you guys are drinking, what you're imbibing with, what you're enjoying right now, because let's get a little conversation on what you're drinking. What are your guys' favorite beers? What are some things that you really look for? What are some of your favorite breweries? Let's get you guys involved in this. But yeah, so this is a Mimosa IPA from nowhere in particular, out of Monroe, Ohio. I would like to start doing maybe some more beers outside of the state, but obviously I would really love to just stay focused on Michigan, because again, 357 breweries and counting, so much stuff out there, but I'm kind of running out of options. I don't want to do like a shorts every other video or an odd side, you know, in tandem like this. I don't want this to become the Bell's Founders Shorts, Odd Side, and Old Nation channel. I would really love for this to be the, you know, Snowbelt, the Open Road, the all those other places that are out there, you know, the Dragon Mead, the Baffin, the Jamex, the Looking Glass, the Salt Springs, the, you know, all this stuff. I would just love for this to be the entire state, but running out of options here. So anyways, Mimosa IPA, let's go ahead and dive in for a taste. It's like a mimosa. It's like a mimosa. This is definitely brewed with a lot of oranges. It has a sweet kind of orangey taste mixed in, but it has this really bitter peel kind of taste, and champagne has this kind of bitterness to it. That's also in here. Brut is obviously, it's French, I believe, for dry. So the champagne kind of comparison, this is the craziest like brut that I've had, and it really tastes like oranges. It has that kind of bitter, orangey, peely kind of taste, and it has that broody, dry finish. Wow. It's funny because if you hold it in your mouth, that orange sweetness comes in, and that's all you're going to get. If I could hold this in my mouth and never have to swallow, it would never get bitter. There obviously would never be any dryness because I have a mouthful of beer, wet beer, but then when you swallow, that's when you get that really strong kind of brut dry finish. You get that rind, zesty, kind of peely orange taste at the tail end, and that is awesome. All right, let's see. Fabian says, beer snob or beer geek? I don't really know what the difference is. Do you know what the difference is? I don't know. I mean, I always think of a nerd as like somebody that looks like me, or somebody that in middle school, or for me it was junior high, looked like me, maybe even high school. And geek is like, I think of more of like a circus kind of performer, maybe. I don't know. But I don't know. I guess both of them, are they interchangeable? Maybe that's a conversation we should have. Greg says, I think you opened up a new avenue for the channel. Start bringing on the Michigan ciders and meads. I mean, you know, the thing with mead is that they do all that. That's like, basically, from my understanding, mead is like honey that's fermented for the most part. There are so many, like Schramm's is in Ferndale. I think they're in Ferndale. They're known worldwide, excuse me, for having some of the best meads in the world. And they're like right in the backyard, but they're really expensive because honey is expensive, and it's expensive. The first time I did the voice, it was because I made the voice, and the second time was because I was going to burp. It's really expensive to get into that, and that's one that it's like, you got to send me some stuff. Five Fires, I think they're in Ohio, I want to say, or Indiana. I think they're out of state. They're supposed to be like totally awesome. The only meads and bee nectar, I've only had bee nectar stuff, and I've had whoever makes Viking Blood. My friend that says he's allergic to beer because of the barley, who's now started to drink a little bit of beer. He drank a little bit more meads, and that's where I had Viking Blood. We thought it was hilarious, and we finished a whole bottle. So those are crazy. Fabian, Chicago, Indiana Connect. I need some of those, so let me know. What's the next gimmicky beer trend on the horizon from Ryan? Gimmicky. I think brutes are only going to be more popular, and I like the idea of a brute being this is going to sound really stupid from a guy that makes videos about drinking beer. I'm low carb for the most part. Like, I try to eat low carb all throughout the week, and then the weekend I film these videos on the weekend, and that's when I do my carb. That's when I get my carb intake, is like drinking beer, and I'll go a little off the wagon, you know, maybe have some ice cream or whatever. I love the brute style for the fact that it is low carb, that there's like low sugar. You could drink a Woodshed, the Brute IPA from Old Nation, and that has as many carbs as like a Miller Lite. Probably around the same calorie calorie count too. ABV's higher than a Miller Lite, but the Brute, I like some of them, but there's not anything that's really wowed me. Gimmicky, I don't know. I think it's going to be on I think it's going to be on a sour end. Macro style, I think that they're getting gimmicky with like really super crazy light beer flavors. I think if you look at something like Natter Days, which has been extremely popular for Natural Light, or for AB InBev, which I think is who does Natural Light, that's been crazy popular for them. They said that they I think they kind of like jokingly released that, but it's been crazy. I think, you know, outside of beer, you know, we're going to still see a lot of the seltzers, like the hard seltzers, which I don't get into. And Bearded Hops, I know they talked a lot about NA, non-alcoholic beer. I can't hitch my wagon to that. I know Jake on there, he talks a lot. He says, I drink beer, I drink water, or I drink coffee. That's what I drink. I would throw in like a Diet Pepsi. That's kind of like the other thing I drink. But yeah, I mean, if I'm not drinking if I'm not drinking water, coffee, or Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke on occasion, or, you know, carbonated water, like, you know, seltzer, fizzy water kind of stuff, I'm not going to drink a non-alcoholic beer even if it blows me away, because I like beer, but I like the effects that beer has on me. Non-alcoholic beer just doesn't seem like it's up my alley. Maybe, I mean, I'm not opposed to trying it. If a Michigan brewery does or maybe a Midwest brewery does a non-alcoholic beer that just blows my socks off, or I hear just like, you know, people can't contain themselves, I'd try it. I just don't think that wouldn't be my everyday. I would much rather prefer to open a BA Electron Brown, open up a Mimosa IPA, open up a Woodchuck before I'm going to drink something with no alcohol. No, I mean, is it a benefit? I think it's not a benefit if there's no alcohol in it. That's beer is beer because it has alcohol in it. I don't drink O'Doul's. I don't drink Sharps, if they even still make that. I don't drink other stuff that's not beer that's not alcoholic, or beer that's non-alcoholic. It doesn't really connect in my head, and maybe it's like kids these days with their Fortnites and the Jell-O and the pudding. I mean, maybe it's like that. Sydney says, do you save any rare bottles or cans? Do you mean save them after I finish them? Or do you mean save them as in, like, do you kind of keep bottles around? Like, the camera's on a tripod over there. I have like a crate, a couple bins that I have like old barrel-aged stuff in. I have way too much stuff that should not be kept for a long period of time over here. So I guess I collect full bottles of beer that I'm never probably ever going to drink. You know, there's no time like the present to celebrate, right? Celebrate you know, you say, I'm keeping these beers to celebrate. They're going to be celebratory beers. I'm not even that drunk. I mean, if you're going to just save them to celebrate, if you're like me and you have all this stuff, that's why the pour videos on Instagram are on there, because I have all this beer and it's like, I gotta just pour these, you know, like we gotta try these things. We gotta test them out. I got stuff that I bought that I never did videos for, that I was going to do videos for. Yeah, if you're asking if I collect full bottles of beer and cans of beer, I absolutely do. I mean, I'm looking around here. My room upstairs is full of stuff. Down here, I have a wire rack full of stuff. Do I keep the empty cans? I don't keep those. I know people, like, again, my friend Dave, he had a shelf with all the different beers that he tried. I think that he stopped doing that. He can answer. He's in the chat. But yeah, I don't keep empty cans anymore, empty bottles, because I can't. I keep so much other stuff. Like, I keep you get a package from Amazon and you get like you know, you bought something to fit on this other thing. I keep all the screws, and it's sad. It's a mess. I don't keep any of that stuff anymore. I'm trying not to. DJ is sipping on his cinnamon, his favorite, which I'm going to guess is Pigeon Hill. Lord Hobo from Sydney. I think I went up. Where is it? Lord Hobo Virtuoso and Holmes Spec Reflect, and Brew Daddy Dave Equilibrium, and United. Oh yeah, the espresso toasted marshmallow. Fabian is drinking a Bigfoot Barley Wine from 2017. Black Note, 2017 Black Note. Earlier today, he told me ahead of this chat that he was going to make sure that he was totally buzzed and ready for this live stream. And I actually did a beer basket for a charity kind of thing, and I put in some Black Notes because that's what you do. Oh, and I also put in, I was kind of sad when I read the news yesterday. I was sad that I gave this beer away. I had a 2017 Black Note from Axel Brewing Company. I gave that away in that charity basket. I was kind of on the fence. Should I keep it? Should I give it away? Sad news, if you didn't know, Axel Brewing in Ferndale is closing on, I believe, the 30th of June. If you're in the Ferndale area, if you didn't get a chance to check them out before, you should check them out now. I think that their distributed efforts weren't always the greatest. I had some of their stuff that was distributed and I wasn't a huge fan, but I really did like Wolf Tone. Did I say Black Note? Wolf Tone from Axel Brewing is what I gave away. Wolf Tone, they're going to release a 2019 Wolf Tone before they close. If you get a chance to go to Axel Brewing in Ferndale, they are on Livernois. It's the Livernois tap location. Check them out. They did a really good New England style that I liked a year ago or so when I got Wolf Tone. But yeah, that's probably going to be their big last hurrah unless someone buys them. I know there was like an online petition for Old Nation to buy to buy Axel. I don't think that's going to happen. But that's really sad because they were in 2017 or 18, they were named like one of these top 30 restaurants or something in the Detroit area. And a year later, they're closing. They did a bunch of construction on Livernois, really kind of interrupted their stuff. They do the beer. I did Noble Ghost, which was just like 2 or 3 weeks back for them. Not for them, but about that beer. And I liked it. It's a good summertime beer. You can still find it on shelves. They hit like snags and distribution. So just a really run of bad luck. I don't know if it's anything more than that. But again, it's really sad to see a player like that leaving the marketplace. If you get a chance, if you're in the Ferndale area, stop in, check out their beer. It's not really going to help them now, but at least you were able to say like, hey, I tried this before it was gone. If somebody else buys them, that would be awesome. All right, so Dwayne Dyston says Brokerage Brewery in West Lafayette. They've been open for a year and are awesome. His favorites are the rye and porter. Okay. John is drinking a Dragon Mead Sin Eater. I have not done a Dragon Mead on the channel. Good news is I have 2 bottles of Final Absolution. Those will be soon, within the next couple weeks. Probably either this week coming up or next week. It depends on how everything goes. Let's see. Oh, we talk about the gimmicky. Dave says sour IPAs are gimmicky. There's not really enough sour IPAs, I don't think, to really say that it's gimmicky, but maybe. Next, let's get into what people are excited about. Let's see. So Greg says, anyone excited about the next Dragon's Milk release, the maple syrup? I don't know if anybody's answered this because I'm running behind trying to catch up on your guys' questions or your statements or whatever. I'm just commenting. I'm just a member of the chat. I'm on the fence about the maple syrup. And the reason that is because I haven't been super duper impressed with the Dragon Meads. I'm sorry, with the Dragon Milk Reserves. I like banana coconut. Raspberry hibiscus was okay. Got a lot more raspberry hibiscus. I couldn't. If you put a hibiscus flower, I guess, in my mouth, and I chewed it up, I wouldn't be able to tell you that's hibiscus. But maple syrup sounds like it could be really good. But there's a but to that but. There's a double but. There's a bubble but. Everybody does maple bourbon barrel aged stouts now. So they age these things like 6 to 12 months, probably 12 months. Didn't they know like 12 months ago that everybody's already been doing maple bourbon barrel aged stouts? I mean, everybody does one, and they're massively successful, so maybe that they're banking on that, but some are really good, some just taste like maple syrup. So I'm interested to try it. I'm not going to say I'm excited, because when you get, I found with beer, especially beer, movies, TV shows, if you get too excited, you build too much hype up about it. When you actually get to try it, it never lives up to that hype, and then you are really disappointed, and that sucks. Okay. Smoothie IPAs are kind of gimmicky. Let's see. I collect stuff to the point I don't drink it. Yep, and it bursts in my room. That's true. Let's see. Drinking water. He's been drinking. John says he's drinking water now. He's been drinking all day. Have you been drinking water all day? That's the question. All right. Citra Evolution from Ellison, 4 days old. Collecting Greg says he's like Kramer, collecting bottles and cans. And then he takes them and he collects 10 cents. Ryan says, are you still using any spreadsheets or SQL that I made? I might possibly. There's a lot of spreadsheets that I've been really busy with the spreadsheet game. We do the pivot table, we do the splicer now, we do the timeline, we do the archiving stuff onto the same sheet. It's like a 7 meg file at the beginning of the month, at the end of the month, it's like a 15 meg file. You know, the SQL stuff, we've kind of not been using that so much. Some of it is still being used though, I'm not gonna lie. All right, let's see. What brewery are you looking to visit at Summer Beer Fest? I haven't seen the program yet. I'll probably write something up and put it on my blog and link to it on Facebook. But Summer Beer Fest, I always look forward to. And I haven't gotten a chance to check them out. I really want to check out Rustic Leaf in Waterford. That's a place that I've really wanted to check out a lot. My in-laws have a cottage that's in Waterford, and it's actually like right around there. But I haven't had a chance to get to the brewery. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Rustic Leaf does. Whoa, what else? I always like checking out ArcLight to see their different stuff. I like their sours much better. I had a golden stout from them I wasn't super crazy about, but that's a place that I'm looking forward to. I like to see what Griffin Claw does. I know that they're all over the place. They have stuff like on shelves at a lot of places, but I'd like to see what they do at Beer Fest, because one of the better tequila barrel aged things that I had a couple of years ago with Dave was something, I believe it was from Griffin Claw. I like to check out another place that I like to check out at Beer Fest. My strategy for Beer Fests is I like to go to places that are small, that haven't really like exploded yet or haven't really got a whole lot of exposure, and go and check out what they have to offer. Even I'll stop by places where I know people, or I might, have tried something from them that are a little bit bigger, and I'll check them out and, see what they have. But what I like to do is go to the places that have maybe they don't distribute in my area, or that just have really low presence, and I haven't had a chance to try a lot of their stuff. Stormcloud, I remember trying a couple years back. They hadn't distributed yet. I'd never had anything from them. They do Belgian style influenced stuff, and I really like their stuff. Again, Rustic Leaf I had, I think a chocolate, it wasn't a mole, but it was like a chocolate stout or a porter or something that was like off the charts amazing. Before I really started having a lot of Pigeon Hill stuff, I think I ended up trying some of their stuff at a beer fest, either like Burning Foot in Muskegon or at one of the Michigan Brew Fest things. I had their stuff and really enjoyed, again, before I had gotten a chance to really try any of their stuff. Black Flame is a place that I got to try stuff before I got to try it, before it started getting distributed here. So I just like to go to places that I can't get on a normal basis, or a place that I don't get a chance to visit very often. I really very often steer clear of the Bells or the Founders or Oddside or Shorts, or, you know, places like that that have good distribution. I don't usually go to Roke's Tent, even though I really like their beer. I don't go to, I won't generally check out Homes, because it's generally, you know, there's a lot of people there already, or that area. City Built, I think I kind of went there trying their stuff. I kind of almost hesitate to say this, but I think Schmoes is like almost like a guilty pleasure of mine. I know a lot of people aren't super into Schmoes, but I think Schmoes has some pretty good beer. Their Cannibal Marinade is really good. So yeah, I just try to check out places I can't find on the shelves very, very readily. And the great thing about Beer Fest is you might have tickets for certain things, but you don't necessarily, or tokens or whatever, but you don't necessarily, you know, they're not super strict on it. So that's cool to check out. Smoothie style Berliner Weiss. I think that's kind of gimmicky, maybe a little bit. Top 5 favorite beers, man. That's tough, because I don't even know if I could tell you right now what my top 5 of 2019 is. Two Hearted's like a big, I'm not going to put them in order, but Two Hearted's like a really big beer for me. I really like Two Hearted quite a bit. That's like a go-to. That's like if somebody said, hey, do you have a go-to beer that you can get anywhere? I think that, I think Two Hearted's got to be right up there. I'm going to skip, if I'm going to do, maybe I'll do like different styles. If I go a New England style, I'm going to skip M43 from Old Nation. I'm going to go with Boss Tweed. Boss Tweed's like one of my favorites. It's still, for me, the kind of gold standard that all double New England style IPAs need to hit. And I think M43 is like the regular New England style, like single New England style IPA that you need to hit. That's like, if you're close to that, then you're doing pretty damn good. I like Electron Brown quite a bit. I don't know if I put it in my top 5. I'm probably going to tell you like 7 or 8 of them, 7 or 8 different beers. I really like Hipster Brunch quite a bit. I think for a stout, if I'm going to do just an everyday stout, I have recently really fallen in love with Witch's Hat's Night Fury. I think that's like one of the best off-the-shelf stouts that you can get. It has this really nice kind of dark chocolate, bitter, molasses flavor to it. If you can find just regular Night Fury, the green and purple label, out on the shelves, that's something you need to pick up, like post-haste. Like that's like a no-brainer for me. John, thank you for watching. I see that you're leaving. I appreciate you watching, and you were the first one. He was first. But yeah, so that's like, those are some tops that I really, really like. All right, so let's see. Dennis is, enjoy your beer reviews. Thank you. I enjoy them too, but I think he's saying he enjoys them as well. Keep up the good works. Congrats. Thank you very much, Dennis. I appreciate it. I've seen you comment a few times, and again, anybody that comments, if you watch and you've never commented, comment on something. Just kind of say, hey, love your whatever. Just let me know you're there. But anybody that watches, I just appreciate it because, you know, we all kind of squabble over these couple hundred views. This is a really small, tight-knit community, and I'm just glad that I can kind of do my part in helping you guys make really informed decisions. Let's see. Greg says Sherwood. I've had Sherwood at that park it's like M59, the Jimmy John's Park. They have a beer fest there, or they did last year and I think the year before. Whoa. I got a message. I'm not supposed to get a message. They had a Sherwood. That's the only time I've had Sherwood, and I think the beer that I had there was actually really good, and it's something that I want to check out. I think the next... I check out like a brewery every so often. I go to Royal Oak, and I get a haircut in Royal Oak. So if you see this awesome haircut job, I go to Royal Oak and get my haircut, and then I'll check out a brewery around there. It was Roke for a long time that I was going to. I started going to Urban Rest. We just recently went to Dragon Mead. Next is going to be, I think JMX was going to be next, but it's going to be Axel because they're going to be closing soon. But yeah, Sherwood, that's a place I'd like to check out. It's in that general area. I want to go to Baffin. I haven't checked them out like locally. Let's see. Owners of Pigeon Hill's great. That's awesome. Schmoes does an NA beer. That's like the 120, right? That's like I don't know if I'd try that. That's like, whenever I see it on shelves, the stuff I see from Schmoes that's on shelves, it's really old. And it's not no fault of them, but it's just tough, right? To kind of be like, yeah, I'm going to try this. I guess I'll try it. All right. I'm getting a lot of text messages right now. All right, so I would try to answer your question, Kelly. I would try a Schmoes NA. Two Hearted. John's out. I think I already said that. Masagave. Yeah, so top 5. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. I don't generally say, like, I really like KBS this year. I liked it a lot better than last year. I don't generally say a Founders beer in my top 10 because they get enough publicity. Like, they don't need some random guy on the internet, like, singing their praises more so than they already get. But yeah, Masagave blew my mind, and I thought it was really crazy that Oddside did that Lost Shaker of Salt, like it got released within weeks. And obviously that's, again, these beers are several, like, especially if they're barrel aged, they're in production or they're in the works, they're thought of, they're thoughts, they're pre-planned out for months and several months. And it was just kind of really serendipitous that they kind of got put out around the same time, and they're really similar. I think I liked Masagave a little bit more because it's got more of that kind of tequila. It's like more of an everyman's kind of drink. It's something more relatable to everybody than Lost Shaker of Salt, which was more of like a tequila connoisseur's beer, which sounds really weird to say, but it's much more of something that I think somebody that likes high-end tequila would probably more like to sip on, that's got those beer elements. But yeah, I would say Masagave, if you guess that Masagave is going to be in the top 10 this year, I think that's a pretty safe bet. All right, what else? Curmudgeon's Better Half. I liked it, but it's really sweet. Waldorf beer from the West Side, from Vinny 1422. I have not... I don't think I have. I saw something. I'm like an Instagram freak. I follow all these breweries on Instagram, all these bottle shops, and I look and see when they get this different stuff, and that's when I know I got to go out to the store and I got to go and buy this thing because this store has it, and I'll go on my lunch break or I'll go after work or whatever and go pick this stuff up. I've been known to take half a day off of work to drive somewhere to pick up beer and come home and try it or film it and put it out on the same day. Waldorf sounds familiar, but if I said for sure that I've heard of it, I'd be lying. I don't know for sure. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to check my questions, because someone earlier mentioned that they had, oh, I'm on airplane mode. Someone mentioned earlier that they had called in a question or texted a question, so I'm going to check that out, and I'm going to answer that question. And then I think after that, we are probably going to wrap this up. And again, I guess I'm going to try and track one of you guys down, a random person that left a voicemail or left a text question, and someone that's chatted on here and asked a question. I have some questions, some stuff popping up. I don't know if they're questions. I'm going to give a sticker. I'm going to give a magnet that looks very much like this, and I will give you a code for an at-cost piece of merch, like a shirt or whatever, with whatever you want on it. So let's see. Draft Therapy Live. Okay, so I got... Gabriella asked another one. What beer? Oh my God, I gotta come back to this. I don't know if I can even, Tyler, I don't know if I can answer Gabriella's question. She asks, this is actually a really great question. What beer would you suggest for someone who doesn't like beer? I guess my qualifying questions would be something to the effect of, like, what kind of alcoholic beverage do you like? Do you like, what flavor profile do you like? That would be my qualifying question. It really depends on that, because I think generally, like overall, the answer I would give is what kind of beer would I suggest that you drink would be, the style would be New England style, because they're so, some of them can be really juicy and really sweet and really, so I'm going to dig into the cooler here. I have an answer here too, but I think New England styles are really good because they aren't super bitter. They have that sweetness to them. I'm sorry if you're getting, there we go. Sorry if you got a bunch of noises that you didn't want to hear. New England style I think are really good, but I've talked to people who don't drink beer and they don't like New England styles because it's like, it still tastes like beer. And I think that that's something that, you know, it's an issue, because I totally forgot what I was saying. New England styles, they taste like beer. When you talk to somebody that doesn't drink beer and they try anything that's beer, they will tell you, hey, do you taste this? Do you taste this, the berries? Do you taste the, if you're talking about spool turf, I'm sorry, just turf from Ascension, you know, it's got this fruit or whatever, they're going to say, all I taste is the beer. And I speak from experience. I've tried to like get people into beer that aren't into beer, and they're like, I only taste the whatever adjunct flavor of beer, and that's all I get. So what I would suggest, for me personally, my suggestion, if it's not a New England style, if a New England doesn't do it for you, I think the other thing that I would suggest that you try is maybe like a sour or a Berliner Weiss or a Goza. And that's where I'm going to break this out. I got to look up what style this is. So bear with me. I go to Florida a few times a year, and this is a beer that I picked up in Florida. You can only pick it up in Florida. They do some canning, and I think I've talked about this before. And I did a Beers of Florida, and it was my favorite beer of Florida, this brewery, is Hidden Springs Ale Works, which is in, I believe, Tampa Heights. And they do a lot of sours, they do IPAs, they do Berliner Weiss. This is Village Bicycle. It's a Berliner Weiss. It is a Berliner literally literally, not figuratively, literally. When I open this, it's just a bunch of fruit's gonna pour out of here. Literally overflowing with berries and guava, plus a kiss of milk sugar. What else? Duh. So this is a Berliner Weiss. I would say Berliner Weiss, a Goza, one of those kind of sour styles on the verge, like really sweet sour style, would be something that a non-beer drinker would want to drink, or that you'd want to introduce to a non-beer drinker. you know, for somebody like me that's drank a lot of different styles of beer, I don't, sours weren't something that came really naturally to me, but sours taste so much closer to like wines, or taste more close to champagnes, or like that kind of, like a, not necessarily a mixed drink, but like those kind of styles, that I think it's a really good, introductory kind of style. And I'm going to pour this out of a crowler. The thing that you will have, and I'm going to just drink this whole thing tonight, but this is 32 ounces, 5.5%, not too bad. There's a trick. Hopefully this doesn't explode. I don't see any strawberries coming out. What do you guys think? Woo! I can smell the strawberries. The thing you want to do with a crowler when you pour this is you want to put a little dent in it, because for some reason that dent, like, it affects the fluid like dynamics of this, and it's not going to just pour out and drip over the edge and be like a boil over. It's going to actually pour out, and you're not going to spill it like you would normally out of a crowler. See, that's, I learned that in a bottle share in line. All right, so we're going to get to the next question. This is, as you can see, I got a lot of head on there. All right, so I'm going to go to the next. I have one more question, a text question from, oh, well, John said thanks for answering. So you're welcome, John. All right, so we're going to go back to the chat, and so we talk about Waldorf, and Dave says Just Tour from Ascension is barely beer. Z Laraway says, any plans to start reviewing brewery tap rooms or breweries themselves? That is an awesome question. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I mean, initially the vision of this channel was to not only do Michigan breweries and Michigan beer, but to go to tap rooms. So if you go to my site, my website, drafttherapy.com, there are there's only like 2 or 3 brewery reviews where I actually go in. I wrote like full reviews on these breweries and talked about the beers that I tried, took pictures, did this really fancy stuff. I was like at Homes the day after they opened and posted a review about that. What I really want to do in the next year, in the next 1,000 subscribers, what I would like to do is to go to the tap rooms, do live streams at the tap rooms, or do some kind of recording at the tap room, talk about the beer, do like flights and try them and talk about the beers, and do like interviews with brewers or owners or, you know, managers. I had an idea of what another thing I'd like to do is like a day in the life, where you can see the different roles in a brewery. You can see like the head brewer, the general manager, the taproom manager, the assistant brewer, the cellarman, you know, everybody from top to bottom, and see like what it's like to be that person for just a day. Even if it's just you know, a short 5 to 10 minute video, kind of finding out. I think the really interesting thing about breweries and beer is it's not just the beer. It's not like, oh yeah, Hidden Springs Ale Works in Tampa Heights, they do this great beer. When you go to a brewery, I go a lot by myself. When you go there, the things that are really interesting are the stories that all these people have, all the stuff behind the beer, why they got into beer. Even if you're sitting in a bar, you're bellying up to the bar, you're getting served, the servers have really interesting, you know, everybody has an interesting story. I mean, I'm not like the most interesting person in the world, but everybody has like this little thing about them, or like an idea that kind of sprung into this whole thing that they're into. And we all have our own interests and stuff, you know, that we're into, but it's like the story behind those people that got you into that. So that's really what I want to do. But the problem is, it's really difficult to get time in front of these people, because this is a business, right? This is, I'm a business analyst, or whatever you want to call me. I'm an Excel jockey, and I go to my job and I do my thing, but they go to that thing, they go to the brewery, they go to their job, and that's their livelihood. That's how they make their money. So any time that I'm taking away from them is basically money that they're not earning. So it's really difficult. It's hard to get time in front of them. And that's what I try to do with these beer fests, is I do these videos, and then I talk to the people at beer fests, and people, you know, I get recognized or whatever, and it's like, hey, let's set up a time I can come out and do it. And they're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then you kind of got to press them, and it's really logistically very tough to get time in front of them. So yeah, that's the goal of the next 1,000 subscribers. Again, I have a mic on here. This is gonna, you know, microphones like this that I'm using on this video today that hopefully are still broadcasting fine. Investing in that, the equipment that I have with my camera and all the stuff behind the scenes. I've got some lighting that's portable that I can take out. I really plan on trying to get in front of people. And I've had people that have inquired about me coming out there, but some of those, because Michigan's such a large state, it's really difficult to get out to some places. So probably a lot of the initial focused videos are going to be for places that are close to Southeast Michigan. But yeah, I would love to be able to basically go out. I would love this to be a show, right? Like be something that we can do, and you have like breweries that you're really interested in seeing, and I can bring those to you. So that's any, you know, that's the goal of the channel. Within the next 1,000 subscribers, I would love to be able to do that. It's a time thing, really. It's a time thing for everybody. It's a time thing for me. It's a time thing for the places that I want to go. So it's just difficult to do, but that's really what I'm kind of striving to do, because beer reviews are great, but they get kind of stale a little bit. And I know that you guys are really looking for more stuff than just me talking about the beer that I'm drinking. So yeah, absolutely. That's something that I want to do. So we were talking about getting beer drinkers into beer. Ryan says, wow, this is really good. A lot of strawberry, a lot of guava. I've been talking for 5 minutes and not been able to try it. It's got this sour. The sour is like strawberry and it just hangs on your soft palate. All right. Greg says Short Soft Parade. That's a good intro for non-beer drinkers. And Rubeus, Dave as well. Yep. And Shandy's. Z Laraway says he opened, or I'm assuming opened a 2018 CBS. Vertical aging 6 months. It was really sweet. Bourbon offset much of the anticipated sweetness. I wasn't a huge fan of 2018. Oh my God, gas bag. I was not a really huge fan of 2018, but I thought it was really sweet. I think at this point, maybe it was quite a bit better. All right, so we are about an hour and 48 minutes in. I am going to drink probably the rest of this off camera, because this is, you can't save a crowler. If anybody knows of any crowler technology, like a lid or something you can put on the top, or if anybody wants me to continue, you just kind of enjoy the back and forth, let me know, because I'm going to be up for a while, but I don't want to continue this stream if it's kind of not being productive for you guys, or if you don't think that it's, you know, whatever. Let's see how many viewers we still have going on here. Sorry, folks. Park's closed for 2 weeks. Live. We have 15. Oh my God. We have 15 people. Last week I drank into oblivion, and I think the high point was 11. So if we still have 15 people, I'm just blown away, and I appreciate all you guys watching. I appreciate you guys tuning in to these live streams. I'm sorry it was so late on a Saturday night. I'm sure if you're watching this, you know, I don't know, hopefully you're enjoying yourself and you didn't have other plans, and you're like, hey, I'm not going to feel like I'm so self-important that you had absolutely nothing else going on in your life. I'm just talking myself into a bigger hole right now, but I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate everybody subscribing. If you watch any of the videos, I totally appreciate it. I'm really just glad that I'm able to bring you guys some kind of value, some kind of information. Again, starting this channel, having no real experience with video, with audio, with photography, with talking about beer, like being critically thinking about beer. And that's the thing that I've really learned over the past 2 years of doing this, is to really start thinking critically about what you're drinking, what you're putting into your body. I go to breweries a lot. I drink a lot of stuff, not to make it sound like I'm some kind of alcoholic, but I drink a lot of stuff. And now everything that I do beer-wise, I really, really think about. I really like critically think about it. And that's, if you've noticed on these videos, I never dog anybody. I never say, hey, this is not worth drinking. It's a drain pour. I really love to be critical, to give constructive criticism, to say like, this is what I like about it. This is what I don't like about it. Hopefully that helps you. And hopefully by watching these videos, you get to be able to tell like what my tastes are and how either similar or how dissimilar you are. And hopefully, again, more hope that I'm able to verbally express like what about it, you know, that I'm not digging, or what's not really catching me. And it's something that you're able to interpret to say like, oh no, you know, I totally get that you don't like super strong bourbon taste, but that's what I love about beer, and that's why I'm going to buy this beer, try this beer, visit this brewery. It's all about promoting beer. This is a great industry. Again, a lot of people are very helpful. They want to do everything within their power, you know, to make sure that you know, make sure that you're enjoying it too. This is such a really great community. Everybody is totally into sharing, totally into making sure that, you know, if you want to do something with beer, that they're going to do what they can to help. So, all right. Kirk chimes in. He says, thanks for reviews, Kirk. I just, you know, to you personally, thanks for watching. Everybody watching, again, thanks for watching. And we were up to 22. That's probably the highest I've been to. And Tyler says 25. All right, Greg, he says, great job as always. Cheers to another 1,000. See you on the beer web. Absolutely. I will be here. I will continue doing this beer. With any luck, we'll continue to see more breweries open. We won't see these breweries close. We'll be able to try all this new stuff and be able to, you know, really experience this is an art form. And I know that I'm, you know, maybe being a little bit too highbrow on this, but the brewers that make this stuff, this is their extension. This is their way of creating. Just as my way of creating is making these videos, doing the little artistic flares that I try to incorporate. And it's really awesome that we can just kind of come together in times like this, where there's all this just stupid stuff going on in the world. It's just really awesome that we can all just kind of get together. We can at least agree that drinking beer is like an awesome thing to do. So I don't have a whole lot more to say. I think I've probably used all my words for the next week. It'll be really easy to just sit at work the next week and not say anything to anybody besides grunting. Just general kind of stuff. I'll check my email one more time to see if we got any more texts. If you guys have any more questions, we will check it out. And Tyler says that he will see me on the after show. I think we'll probably do that. So I want to set up what I would really love to do, and anybody who's left on here that's watching, I have a Discord set up. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's a text and a chat. Awesome. Ryan, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I've worked with Ryan in the past. He's a really great guy, and he sent me $5 on a super chat. I super appreciate that. But yeah, so if you're not familiar with Discord, it's basically like IRC with voice chat. It's really adopted by gamers. You can play games with other people and just do voice chat. I play a lot of games, and friends of mine and I do it on Thursday nights, and we play games and talk, do voice chat, but you can do video chats as well. And I'm considering doing a Patreon. If it's something that you think that would be interesting, you can let me know on a side conversation. But would you be interested in joining a Discord? Something that, you know, all of us here, the Draft Therapy people, we could kind of get on. Maybe we can get other brew tubers or beer tubers involved as well. Get in there. We can just kind of chat whenever. Let me know what you think. We can set something. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. That's the great thing about it. We could do stuff on there, do voice chat, do text chat. You know, we could talk about stuff even when it's not like in a format like this. Or would you prefer just to keep everything in these live streams? Let me know. Let me know in the chat when we kill this thing on this chat. this live stream. It sounds really bad. When we kill this live stream, let me know in the comments. Let me know through the Draft Therapy hotline at 224-DRAFT-20. We'll figure something out. I really love talking to you guys again in person, online, through voicemail, through text messages, in the comments section, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. I totally appreciate everything, and I just really enjoy talking to you guys and girls out there. This is just a really cool thing. I think it's a really cool community to be a part of. So if Discord, the text chat, the audio chat, video chat, whatever sounds like something that'd be interesting to you, if Patreon sounds interesting to you, if you feel like you want to contribute to this, let me know in which ways I can help with that. With Patreon, we can do whatever we need to do. If you want to see stuff early, you get exclusive, information. If you want to see videos of me going to stores and buying stuff, maybe tasting room stuff, maybe I can do more live streaming through my phone or through a GoPro at breweries. It's all, all this is just like flowing out of my mouth because it's stuff that I've obviously thought about. But yeah, it's something I love doing, and I love talking to you guys about beer, and I love just having conversations like this. So with that being said, I'm going to try and remember my tagline here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for all the support that you've given over the last 2 years. If you've been a person that's been on board since the beginning, if you've been a person you just joined like 2 days ago because you saw that I did a triple mash review, or you're like a North Pier Brewing Company, just die hard. I appreciate anybody that's been on, and just, I guess, remember to support your local breweries, drink craft beer, all that great stuff. And most importantly, I think this is really the most important thing, is to treat yourself to some draft therapy, because these are some, we all got stuff going on in our lives, and sometimes the only way that you can kind of, get some relief is by giving yourself a little bit of draft therapy. And Kelly Davis, Kelly and Mitten on Instagram. No crap. Okay. Now I can put some chat with the Instagram handle. I totally appreciate Kelly just following, commenting. We have some interesting Instagram, draft_therapy. We have really interesting conversations, do pour videos, pour porn, all that great stuff. Pour days. I'm going to start rambling here. I'm on the verge of not being coherent. So anyways, thanks for watching. Support your local breweries, drink craft beer, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thank you so much. Check out Kelly and Mitten on Instagram. Check out Bearded Hops. They do great podcasts about just beer in general. It's kind of localized to them because that's who they have access to, but they've talked to a few beer YouTube people. They do a great job. And yeah, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on and watching this. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for the questions you sent. We'll figure out a way to get somebody, some random person in chat, and some random person that sent some stuff on the Draft Therapy hotline at 224-DRAFT-20. We'll figure something out. I'll get you guys some stickers. I'll get you guys some magnets. I have a bunch of them. And if you guys are looking to represent some Draft Therapy, stuff locally, I have merch. There's probably links somewhere, probably not on this video, but any of the other videos. And I will pick, again, with those random people that get the stickers and the magnets, I'll send you a code for wholesale merchandise, like a Draft Therapy shirt. I think that's all I have. So anyways, again, thanks for watching, everybody. We're coming up on 2 hours of this video. I'm going to wait 26 more seconds. I want to be an even 2 hours, and then I'm going to cut this off. Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody. Cheers. Thanks again. 8 seconds. Enjoy your rest of your weekend and your night. Thanks so much.